So I'm thinking to analyze the 3 times that the Torah commands us to have love. We said number 1, Leviticus 19. You have to love every person. We have an additional mitzvah to love a convert. Means if someone converts to Judaism, well, they feel a little out of place, they didn't grow up with it, they feel you have an extra mitzvah to love them. And we also have a mitzvah to love God. Right? And I want to think if we could draw something from each one of these 3 loves. Love your fellow, love a different person, love a convert, and to love God. That would maybe together, collectively, will build us somewhat of a framework that we could use as in a repeatable fashion, and which will to achieve love, but also will tell us what love actually is. So let's start. Which one should we start with? You guys tell me. Love of God, love of the convert, love of your fellow.
Well, we've been talking about love of your fellow.
So let's start with love. What do you say?
I'm interested in the convert. I've really never heard that.
Ooh.
We've always known that
Yeah, but people always say that we don't accept and stuff, and so that they didn't.
It blows that right out of the
Right,
water.
exactly.
And that's they're at times they are treated differently. So that's why I'm interested in that one. I don't care.
But remember, when the Torah gives us commandments, the Torah is also going to tell us how to do it.
Okay.
Which is, remember, if the Torah just says to love someone, you might say, wait a minute, how can you command an emotion, right? How can you tell me to love something that I don't like it? Or I don't, it's an emotion. You could command me to eat matzah or, to keep Shabbos. Those are actions which I know what to do. How will the Torah give us? So I think that in each one of these 3 things we find instructions. So let's start with love of the fellow. We find in the book of Genesis, in the parshas called Chayesara, and it's somewhat of an anomaly in Genesis because it's a very short parsha. Genesis is like every parsha is huge, and then Chayesara, which is basically like a story and a half, and that story is a story of Isaac meeting Rebekah. Now, Rebekah was a stunning woman. How do we know that? The Torah tells us that she was just a knockout. Right? Straight 10s, right? She was gorgeous, right? The Torah also tells us that when Abraham's slave, Eliezer, he saw her character as well. So what did he do? It was a whole story. He had to negotiate with her parents. The whole story. Negotiate with the parents. He brings her back to Israel, right? Because Isaac wasn't allowed to leave Israel. They were out east. He brings her back to Israel. She sees Isaac. She falls off the camel. Romance. She's stunning gorgeous, right? We said stunning gorgeous. They get married. He brings her to the tent, it says. And then he says, and he loves her. We see it the first time people fall in love. Now, one thing we find out, he obviously saw her beforehand, right? And he obviously saw that she was really, really good looking. That's not where the Torah says, he saw she was so stunning, and boom, love happened. Obviously, it happened afterwards. He saw her, he got married, right? He brought her to the house, to the tent, and then he loved her. What happened in this tent? So Rashi tells us what happened is that it used to be when Sarah was alive and she lit candles on Friday night for Shabbos. The candles would last from one Friday night to the other Friday night. It was a miracle. She was such a special woman, and it just lasted every week. It lasted for a whole week, like Hanukkah every week. Right? And when she died, it stopped. And there were a bunch of other things that happened because of Sarah. She was such a righteous woman. She paralleled Abraham in prophecy. Abraham was instructed by God to follow her advice because she's better at giving advice than you. Wonderful woman, right? All the qualities in the world. She had these miracles. So Rashi tells us that when it means that Rebecca went into the tent, it means that all those miracles that happened to Sarah and then stopped when Sarah died started happening again when Rebecca moved in. And then it says, and Isaac loved her. What can we draw? When Isaac recognized the qualities, the characteristics, the midot, the wonderful, wonderful, admirable traits of his wife, then he loved her. When he empathized with her because he felt her qualities, so he felt like he's part of her, like he noticed her characteristics, he loved her. In the words of one of the leaders in the movement in Israel and the United States, the head of Esha Torah, the founder of Esha Torah, which is like a yeshiva and an outreach organization, like the biggest outreach organization in the world, he said, love is when you identify the qualities of someone else, like you examine the quality, you notice the good characteristics that person has, and you identify them with that characteristics. That's what love is. And everyone's saying, well, where does Rabbi Weinberg make that up from? Well, that's a very strange characterization of love. To notice what someone else is going through, to pay attention to someone else, to notice their qualities, that's love. Where does he get it from? Well, now we have a source. Isaac brings Rebecca into the house. What does that mean? He sees what's happening. He sees all these miracles are happening. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is a wonderful woman. And he spends time analyzing her character, her qualities. He delves into that. He notices what's good about her. And he loves her. Booyah. If so, perhaps we could say that yes, there is a repeatable formula with which we could use to achieve, to love anyone. And that is, as we are well aware, this is a Musar class, we are well aware that every person is a collection of good and bad character. So when I look at someone else, I can either look at that person's good character, I can look at the person's bad character. I could look maybe at a mixture. How do I identify the person? I can either identify them as a good with their good characteristics, their bad characteristics, or maybe a mixture. Perhaps if I identify them with their good characteristics, and that's what I analyze, and that's what I dwell upon, I'll love them. And you know what? As Rabbi Wolbe said, every person has good and bad character. Hence, there's something to love about every person. Hence, what the Torah is commanding us, to love every person, the Torah is saying that every person has something good within them. That if you dwell upon, if you analyze, if you think about them in that light, this person could be a very kind person, this person could be patient, this person could be energetic, this person doesn't get angry, this person's very humble, this person's very generous. Everyone has something good about them. Everyone. You gotta find, if you want to love someone, you have to find what it is that's good about them. Identify that person with those virtues. Voila, you love them. On the other hand, you have to make sure that you don't go out of your way to find their negative characteristics. Because if so, I personally know someone who always picks out some other people's negative characteristics. Those things, he just said, this person has, this negative characteristic. And this person has, this negative characteristic. And that person, I can find something better they do also. So they don't love anyone. And the other people who are able to say, well, he has this wonderful quality. And that person has that wonderful quality. And they're always finding the good in someone else. And they love everyone. Because in their eyes, how do they view people? How do they associate them? With what characteristics do they identify them with? A good character. Hence, it's not so outrageous that the Torah tells us to love everyone. What the Torah is really telling us is to make sure the way we connect with other people, the way we associate with other people, right, the way we analyze other people is always in the positive light, looking for the good in them. And while not turning a blind eye to the bad, but not dwelling upon it. Because the second you dwell upon it, the second you say, oh, this person has this quality, let's label them as this is an angry person, you'll never love them. Do the opposite. Label them with their good quality, you'll find a way to love them.
I thought when you said that, the saying that immediately upon seeing somebody you love them, but what you're saying is you got to get to know somebody to know they're good and they're good character.
Who says that's to be immediate?
Well,
it says
it sounded like that's
every
what,
person that you get to know, you can find a way to love them. Why? Because every person that you get to know has, for sure, by definition, them being human, has good qualities. Your only job is to make sure that you don't go out looking for their bad qualities and don't label them with their bad qualities. Don't associate them or identify them with their negative characteristics. In fact, do the opposite. Seek out their good, dwell upon that, and then you'll love them.
what if they have more bad than good?
Well, then you'll... What if I know, we all know about ourselves. I know about myself. I think I have more bad than good. So I still love myself because I still identify myself with the good. Parents love their kids. Kids sometimes are brats. I tell you, kids are brats. Why do parents love them? Because parents see the good. They see the potential. They see the qualities. They identify the qualities. But what do you mean? My kid today took magic marker all over the floor, everywhere. I said, shush, don't do that. He said, I'm calling a paper. Takes all over the floor. They make messes all the time. These kids are full of negative character. I'm thirsty, middle of the night, but I'm sleeping. Go get yourself a drink. No, I'm thirsty. I'll scream until I get a drink. That's a terrible characteristic. What a brat! If it was your kid, I would say he's a brat, but it's my kid, and the Almighty implanted in parents the ability to see the good in their children. And that's why we love our children. Because parents naturally... Huh?
I don't think we analyze our children.
Well, we don't do it consciously. We don't...
I have no condition. Really. I have only one daughter. She has totally my unconditional love.
Yeah, but...
Whatever she's going to do in her life.
But because the Almighty understood that if we treat our children the way we treat other people, most kids would die of starvation because their parent will say, why am I taking care of this disgusting brat who doesn't know how to make in a toilet? Why would I change so many dirty diapers for the kid who eats like a mess, makes messes everywhere, is nothing but a drain economically, emotionally, everything? What? The Almighty made it. If you were to just logically analyze children, you'll see these kids are almost devoid of good qualities. Almost, really. They're the most selfish people on the planet. They are. It's the most selfish people on the planet. They don't care about anyone else.
Okay, ask their grandmother.
Okay, as a grandmother. The point is that the Almighty, in His infinite wisdom, understood that if parents used logic with their kids, then the world wouldn't continue. Because parents will say, this is ridiculous. Why am I putting so much effort in this brat? But the Almighty just made the parents go blind, and all they see is good. And even the kid just scribbles on the floor and makes a mess and eats like a slob and just...
Cute.
Right? The cutest thing in the world, right? Parents just see the good. Right? If you're able to see... So yeah, kids have more negative character. And as someone who has lots of negative character, your job is harder. But it's still possible. Why? Because if you analyze that person and say, this person has good qualities, I'm going to seek them out, I'm going to find them, you're fulfilling the mitzvah of Hatorah, love your neighbor as yourself. And that's what happened. That we can follow the example of Isaac, as we see he loved her as a result of seeing her qualities. What about loving the convert? What does the Torah tell us about a convert? You should love the converts. Keep an eye on, check her out. Is she there? She's still there? She's special, my daughter. She has no negative. Whatever. I have 3 sons and 1 daughter.
Oh.
And I'm totally partial to the daughter. I just
Wrapped.
She has me wrapped.
Yeah.
And I know it and I kinda like it.
It's okay.
Love the convert. Why should I love the convert? The Torah adds a few more words. The Torah says, love the convert because you yourself were an alien in a foreign nation. Right? You guys were all in Egypt, right? And you know what he experienced. You know the pain of being the odd man out, being the only person who's different, right? This guy, he's alone. This guy or girl or family, whatever, they're new here. They feel like outsiders. You know what it's like. Make sure that you treat them well and you love them. What's the Torah doing? Let's analyze it. Torah is saying, I should take my own experiences of being an outsider and apply that to someone else. What the Torah is telling me, I should figure out what someone else is going through. I went through that as well. It's okay for her cough. It's healthy. It's normal. How are we doing out there?
We'll enjoy it. Where is that statement about how you were? It's more than once, but where's one of the places in the Torah where it says, "Because you were a stranger in the land of Egypt"?
I don't remember what that verse is. We can Google it. We'll find them.
It's in more than one place.
The Torah is telling me another way. How do I love someone? I have to feel what that person's feeling. I have to identify with the person. I have to empathize with that person. Feel what they're going through. Once again, it's kind of me taking that person and making them either because of their good qualities or because of what their challenges. And if I suffer what someone else is suffering, if I empathize with someone else, I'll care about that. If I invest myself in someone else's pain, that person's pain will bother me. Why? Because that's just the way it works. If you care about something, if you invest into something, you'll care about it and you'll love it. You work on a project. You see people sometimes who work on a project, and it's not exactly the project that's going to save the world. It could be writing a book or an article, or it could be working on a project or building something which is it's a nice thing. But because they invested time and energy and effort and love into it, they care about it so much more. When kids build a little thing out of Lego, right? They're so proud of it, they're so happy. Okay, it's not really changing the world. It's not. If you were to destroy that, just take it and break it, the kids would go crazy, ballistic. What do you care? It's a piece of Lego. They invested in it. You invest into something, you care for it, you love it. Torah is telling us we have to emotionally invest in other people. You want to love someone else? Emotionally invest into them. What's that person going through? What challenges are they experiencing? Was I ever in a situation where they're in? They're a stranger. I was once a stranger in our foreign places land. I once felt like uncomfortable, awkward because I was a one man out. The Torah is teaching us a repeatable process that I could do to love someone. And what's that? We have one. Notice their qualities. Like Isaac, who noticed the qualities of Rebekah, and there he loved her. Right? Or two, to try to figure out what another person is going through. If I take the time and the effort and the emotional energy to ask myself, this person is going through something, and everyone's going through something. They're going through something. How can I help them? How can I just care for them, feel for them? How can I feel their pain or their joy? But that experience of someone trying to put themselves in someone else's shoes, that experience is what that's going to enable us to love other people. Because if you care about something, you invest into it, right? You spend effort and time and energy into something, you'll care about the person, you'll love that person.
So you go through all of that effort and that other person says, "Get away from me. I can't stand you." I mean, it's not reciprocal.
Okay, so yeah, remember, these are two different strategies.
Yeah.
And there might be someone who's not downtrodden, who's not the odd man out. And that person, well, you might have to use the first process, but it's a different process. I agree, it's a different process. But some people, like the outsider, he needs someone he needs someone to have his back. He needs someone to say, it's okay, let me show you around, right? You like the nutrient school, or the new person who comes to the class and doesn't know everyone, and everyone's like cracking judgment. I'm sure you've had it here. That everyone here hasn't been come to the Musar class for 4 years, and some new person walks in. I found this place online, and like they're sitting like this, and you have to say, look, come in, how you doing? Well, this is this guy, and this is that guy, and these are the books, and this is the rabbi, and this is what's going on? How you doing? Can you get some water? Like that some people need that because they're downtrodden, or either the outside or whatever, and that's one way for you. As someone who is different person, you want to care about that person, you love the person, try to empathize with them, put yourself in their shoes. You were once like that as well. How can I help them? What of my experience can I draw from to try to empathize and care? And that process alone will make me love them. Or if that person is not doesn't need your help and your love, and by the way, everyone needs love, and everyone needs someone that they can count on, and everyone's going through something at every point in their time. Everyone. So this is a myth to say that some people, there's people that got it all, everything's working well, no problems, no health, no emotional, no financial, no nothing. Everything's fine. Those people don't exist. But even if someone doesn't, that's a different angle. You can use that angle. You can use the other angle.
Rabbi, as far as I said, I never heard that about converts, but I've always had the greatest respect for anybody that comes into our religion because they take on a lot of aggravation and they always know more than everybody. I mean, to me, it's never been a problem. I think it's great.
So what about the Jews who converted to any other religion?
Well, that's their problem.
It was times that I was a Roman Catholic from a religious.
But from the Jewish perspective, a Jew is a Jew is a Jew.
Yeah.
We had a line. Someone once had a line.
I heard this, but
A Jew could
came back.
a Jew could be baptized 100 times. Anyone heard that line? A Jew could be baptized 100 times. They might get wet, but they're still Jewish. That's the joke.
I was not officially baptized.
Yeah.
But I was going to church.
Did anybody see the movie? I think it was last week. The Courageous Heart of Irina Sendler. Oh God!
Yeah.
She saved 2,500 kids, and
And
she never got the the big publicity. It was
no
a
fantasy.
She's not actually Raoul
Wonderful.
Wallenberg.
She's just
Nice.
She
Raoul
was an amazing story, and it
Wallenberg
was
got
well done.
streets named after him.
Right.
He got lots of streets named after him.
She was amazing.
But
And
I
a lot of those kids.
Hitler proved you're a Jew for a Jew because he proved that if you had any Jewish blood, you were Jew. That's it. If you did anything.
If you talk to one, you're in trouble. So
No, but I mean, it was you're a Jew. It was so hard to explain to some of my Christian friends that being born Jewish is not like they accept. Well, today I'm Baptist, tomorrow I'm Protestant.
Yeah.
Which is why there's always been this discussion in these philosophical, esoteric, academic discussions. Well, what is Judaism? It's not. Is it a religion? Is it a nation? Is it a race? Is it a creed? Is it
Right.
It was very, very clear in Poland. My nationality was Jewish and the citizenship was Polish.
Mm-hmm.
Very convenient for the time.
Yeah, it's biological on one hand. On the other hand, it's also ideological. So we say, how does the Torah define Judaism, the Jewish nation? A kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Well, that's the Jewish people in their best. We're a kingdom of priests, a whole kingdom, and everyone's a priest, everyone's a respected person. And, it doesn't mean necessarily that everyone's a priest, right? What it means is that everyone isn't a priest, right? Remember, the Torah was written before those kind of people were around. It means a kingdom of everyone being respected, everyone being top of the line. There's no, there aren't those Jews who just take it easy in life and just try, whatever, yeah. And a holy nation. Holy meaning distinct. Holy means special. Holy meaning unique. Holy meaning that we're going to be the ones who are going to change the world. So it's kind of a mix. Is it is it a nation? Is it something that which is part of this fraternity, this kingdom, so to speak? But it's both. It's both. Yeah, it's both.
When I was in Israel, the guide said, we were driving through somewhere where Jesus had done something. And he said, don't kid yourself, folks. He was born one, he lived one, he died one. And everybody was screaming and applauding and and he said, you hear a lot of stuff, but this is the bottom line.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, where were we? So we found, number one, definitions of love from the story of Isaac, which is recognizing someone else's character, the good character, identifying them with that character, and hence a way to accomplish it. Try to seek out the qualities in others. And B, find another alternative method with loving converts as caring about them. Right? Now I want to expand that a little bit with another verse in the Torah. Once again, where take all these pieces of the puzzle and assemble them together and see what we could develop on this issue. The Torah talks about a Jewish slave. What's a Jewish slave? It's someone who, it's not quite a slave because it's just a maximum of 6 years. If someone steals and doesn't have money to pay for it, so we don't have a chapter 11 and chapter 7. You open up chapter 7 in Genesis. There's nothing about the bankruptcy. And chapter 6, 7, chapter 11, chapter 13. None of it. What it says is, hey, if you steal from someone else, not if you accidentally, smash their car. But if you steal from someone else, you don't want to pay. Well, you got to be sold as a slave. You got to go to the restaurant and scrub for 6 years.
Instead of chopping off their hands.
No, we don't chop off no hands.
Somebody else.
Now. So the Torah is talking about slaves, and it's talking about I don't want to get into the particulars, but talking about a single slave, and I mentioned this in a class once. A single slave, someone who's not married, an untethered slave, a bachelor slave. And it describes him in a very strange manner. It says that if a slave comes with the edge of his clothing, then ... whatever it says. But it describes someone as being who's single as someone who comes with the edge of his garment. And it seems to be a very strange way to describe someone who's single. How would you describe a single person? Well, someone who has it easy, or someone who has it good, or someone who has it bad, right? Or someone who who's a who doesn't have married filing jointly, right? How would you define someone who's single? Well, he's not married, or either he needs to get married, or maybe he's just like this. Right? The Torah describes him as being someone who comes with the edge of his garment.
So does that mean?
So what it means is his life ends where his garment ends. Who does he care about? Himself. He doesn't have a family. Okay, well, let me explain the point. The point is that when someone is single, now, it's not necessarily so, but someone who doesn't have love, no one that they love, well, then who do they love? They love themselves. Hence, whatever's inside my shirt I love, whatever outside I don't love. When someone gets married, the idea is that they're going to love someone. Hence, what they care about, what they love, is going to expand. It's not going to be within their shirt. It's be what's in their shirt and what's in their spouse's shirt, right? Their little cocoon, this little bubble, this little life of self-centeredness is going to be broken and expanded to include other people. Other people now will fall under the heading of people that I care about, of me, so to speak. It's like to expand. He expands himself. It's not like I love someone and that's our relation. It's like a relationship. Like this is me, this is them, and I kind of feel them. It's no. I expanded to include them. Hence, when they get pain, I feel it because it's not because I feel their pain. No, I feel my pain because that's just the way it is. They're part of me, so to speak. What was my point that I was going to say with this?
A slave.
Oh, a slave. No, but this was I was expanding the point that we learned from a convert. What the convert's pain, right? We said the convert feels like an outsider. You once felt like an outsider. Feel his pain. That's what it's really telling us. Feel his pain. Wait a minute, how am I supposed to feel someone else's pain? Right? Anyone here saw they had a special, a ABC special with the magician? Anyone saw David Blaine? You like magicians? I like magicians. So David Blaine, what he does, he takes two people. Well, he does lots of tricks. He takes two people. He has them close their eyes. He does some shtick with them. And he takes one of them and like, he gives him a zet. He pokes him like that. And the other person's able to feel it. It's like, and says, okay, open your eyes. Okay, what did you feel? He's like, no, you pushed me over here. And we see that he didn't touch him.
It's like a telepathic.
It's some telepathic. He does like this to them. Like pushes one nose and the other person feels it. And like people go nuts. Like, what? How'd that happen? Right? He didn't touch them. Right? How am I supposed to feel someone else's pain? How am I supposed to feel his pain? He got the pain, not me. How am I supposed to feel his pain? The convert's here. The convert's telling me I'm having such a tough time integrating into the Jewish people. Very painful. Very, very stressful, very painful. You're supposed to feel his pain. How am I supposed to feel his pain? It's his pain, not my pain. If it was my pain, I would feel it. If it's his pain, now he feels it. The Torah is telling us is that if you're going to love him, then you'll feel his pain. Because loving means you're expanding yourself to include someone else. Expansion of oneself to include someone beyond oneself. Hence, what I'm doing is expanding myself to include him as well. I'm taking my shirt and stretching it and putting someone else there. Right? So that's something that we do when we get married, but it's also something we could do. It's a repeatable process that we could do for other people. And the greater a person is, the bigger his shirt is, so to speak. The more people that he has under his umbrella of who he is. And therefore, when they get pain, he feels it. Not because he feels someone else's pain. He can't feel someone else's pain. Rather, because he has pain, but someone else has pain. Because that person is part of who he is as an individual. Their individual is expanded. Huh?
Like clones.
Well, not clones. It's just expansion of oneself. Now, I want to say another point here. The final point, which I think will be the knockout blow. You guys ready for it?
Yes, ready.
We have a statement in the Talmud. Also, a very famous story in the Talmud. Maybe the most famous. What's the story? A Gentile comes to Hillel and says to him, teach me the Torah standing on one leg. Well, the story starts off, he comes to Shammai, who was Hillel's sparring mate, so to speak. They were colleagues who studied together. And Shammai was a much sharper, he was more intelligent also, but he was like, some Gentile comes to me and says, teach me all of Torah while standing on one foot. Get out of here. What are you driving me crazy? That's what he told him. And he comes to Hillel, and Hillel says to him, oh, sure, he wants to all Torah on one leg, right? De'aloch sani l'chavracha lo sa'avid. What is unto you hateful, don't do to someone else. What you don't like, don't do to someone else. Which, as the commentators point out, is actually a play on the words of love thy neighbor as thyself. Correctly translated, love your fellow as yourself. Doesn't say neighbor, it says fellow. That's one statement in the Talmud. Hillel. We have the statement of Rabbi Akiva, right? Ve'ahavta l're'acha kamocha. You love your fellow as yourself. Amar Rabbi Akiva, says Rabbi Akiva, Zeh klal gadol b'Torah. This is a great principle in Torah. This is a very important principle in the Torah. So once again, we see the idea of this mitzvah, loving your fellow as yourself, being somewhat of perhaps a microcosm of the whole Torah. Why is it a microcosm? Because you want to stand on one leg and you want to hear all of Torah? Well, sure. I'll tell you one thing, which is really all of Torah. It's a microcosm of everything else. Love thy fellow, loving your neighbor as yourself. That's Hillel. Fast forward 200 years, you have Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, "V'ahavta l're'acha kamocha," love your fellow as yourself. Zeh klal gadol b'Torah. This is an important rule in Torah. Once again, there's something fundamental in this mitzvah that is applied elsewhere in the Torah. What about this mitzvah is so special, so crucial, so important, so vital, so pivotal, that makes it a microcosm of all of Torah? And makes it this this important principle that is needed for all the Torah, in the words of Rabbi Akiva. What's so special about it? Loving, it's a mitzvah. I see it's a mitzvah. And it's important to love everyone. But tzitzis is also, where it's a mitzvah. And eating matzah on Pesach is also a very important mitzvah. And having a bris milah, having a circumcision, very important mitzvah. So it makes you a Jew, right? You're part of that fraternity, right? From the first day. And studying Torah, it's a very important mitzvah. Why is the mitzvah of loving your fellow as yourself, why is that the mitzvah used as being a microcosm of the Torah? Good question.
Probably from that element, all else becomes true.
How's that?
How is that?
Yeah.
You're the teacher. I'm just asking.
Well, you try to propose an answer.
Well,
And I agree. When I say how is that, what I'm saying is, you're right. Show me how it works.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't.
We didn't get to that part.
No,
Which is like,
but I
in like teacher class, that means like, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
How is that? Is a compliment. It's not like, what are you talking about?
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else?
No, because
So let's try to figure out. Okay, you love your neighbor as yourself, and then that will bring about everything else. How does that work?
well, for me, the easiest way is to look at the reverse. Because once you cannot do that, then all other elements will not follow or cannot follow because it's the basis for, I guess, what God teaches.
So it's the basis, and everything else is dependent upon it.
Yes,
Why? How does that work?
because God said it is the nature.
Well, just the way it is.
It is the nature.
Okay, so I agree with what you're saying. I'm going to expand it, maybe show how it works, and how something that we mentioned at the beginning is indeed a process that we use to achieve love, and it's a love-centric activity. But if you use that, you'll end up having that and 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 everything. And that is, we said, Isaac, Rebecca. Isaac sees the quality of Rebecca. Isaac loves her. Repeatable process. Everyone is composed of good and bad qualities. You could choose to either look at the good or look at the bad. You'll either love the person or you'll hate the person, depending on what you examine, what you spend your time, what you dwell upon.
But you're bringing Isaacs all the time. They were family. They were husband and wife.
Oh, I understand.
I would say most of the time, at least in the beginning, it's very true. You know, you love somebody, you marry, and you know.
Goes south afterwards. After 8 years, they get divorced because of whatever. Yeah.
I was married 58 years, you know.
Oh, well, I'm saying, but in America, more than 50% of marriages fail, and they fail after 7-8 years on average. So yeah, well, love disappears because they don't follow. Because love is not just something that you get and then you lose. It's something which you need to maintain. How do you maintain it? The same way you got it. How do you get it? By noticing the good. How do you maintain it? By noticing the good. How do you maintain it? By not focusing on the bad. How do you maintain it? By identifying with the good. Always noticing the good in someone will always perpetuate, sustain, nourish that love and ensure that you don't lose
What
it.
if a person turns evil?
Well, the person turns evil, or maybe that the person was always evil or has an evil element. Like we all have a little Nazi within ourselves. We all do. Everyone has good and bad. Everyone has good and bad.
But
If the person turns evil,
sounding funny, but I mean it seriously.
Mhm.
You could talk yourself into somebody having good qualities and everything when they really don't, because you're like infatuated or you're
so that means that you made the wrong decision.
right.
So you're not
right.
compatible. That's a different story. That you shouldn't be married to someone you're not compatible
Talking
to.
about marriage situation.
Right, but marriage is the same thing.
But
Marriage is just a
friends
heightened
do.
level of love.
You be friends with somebody and then realize that you thought you saw these good qualities.
Well,
or
you-
you're
no,
like-
you-
and then you find out the person's like a mass something or another.
Okay, but we're not talking about mass something or another. We're talking about most people, the masses.
Yes.
Psycho or
Yeah,
real.
psychopath. Well, or
Well, they
sociopath
had a
and
little
stuff.
dementia or something, and
But but speaking of that, going from where you are, I'm trying to keep up, and I'm thinking, in my experience, when you look for the good and you accentuate the good, the other person, and I'm talking as as elementary school teacher, when the
Reciprocates.
children know that you're looking for the good and you're stressing that, they kind of come up to that level.
we give it.
Yes.
They give you back
And
the good.
and also and also if you go out of your way to show your love to someone else, and you show that you're caring for someone else, and you empathize with someone else, and you do all those things that are connected to love, they'll reciprocate. That's the way it typically works. Is like, I know with marriages for sure that there's always ups and downs, because when it's going up, then each one of them is willing to compromise a little bit, and it gets better and better. One goes, that, well, it just, everyone gets accusatory. Everyone says, well, you did this, you did that. Why do you always do this? Why do you always do that? Focusing on the bad, and that also has a domino effect.
I think in an earlier class, I don't know what it was, 11 reviews or whatever, but we talked about the fact that there are certain very negative, dysfunctional people. And the way to deal with them is, and the rabbi said, if there's a pothole in the road, you go around them. You don't hang around a person like that. You can try to love them, you treat them with respect, but you don't hang around this kind of, I don't.
Yeah, I agree, but
agree.
most people are in potholes.
They make you very negative, and they
Exactly.
take you down.
Right.
Absolutely. And so I really...
I say,
Yeah, but I don't think that's
in our society, most people aren't potheads, and most people aren't potholes.
You'd be surprised at the nature.
It's a good word, potheads and potholes.
It's not, you're absolutely right, Susan, because the truth of the matter is this particular commandment is one that we don't take that seriously, even though it's extremely important. People go, well, I'm not commanded. I can either do it or not, and I choose not to. I don't like them. Just like what you said, they choose to behave in a fashion that is not as you suggest with these, with these methods. And the truth is, most people do not put the time into it to see good qualities in a person, because something comes out of another person that is so dysfunctional that you're going, let me back away from this. I don't want to be around it. And that happens more often than not. You say that there are not that many potholes. Well, I think that there are quite a few potholes, and a lot of people skirt them because that's the way their lives. Yeah, exactly. That you want to keep a harmony to your life and a holiness to your life. So if you want that, and you're just sitting away,
The Torah doesn't say you have to hang around with everyone for hours. The Torah says you have to love them. Doesn't mean you have to spend time with them. The Torah says it doesn't say about spending time. Having a beer with them. You can love someone you don't want to have a beer with, or have a drink with, or be around because they smell bad. You still love them because you know that they have qualities, and those qualities, and maybe in a certain area they have something that you don't even have. And therefore there's something to admire about them. I don't want to hang around them. I'm busy. Right? Don't tell me crazy. You're a pothole. You're a pothead. I'm not interested. Still, I can love them. But love them also. Because
really love
Yeah,
them because you
it's
love
like
them.
the word is overused, and maybe it makes you love. I mean, I hear people, you know them like for 5 minutes. Love ya, yeah,
but
whatever.
you're hearing that word love. I mean, yes, and I know that people saying just like, have a nice day, love you. Sort
Right,
of thing.
right. You don't.
Because I
They don't
think
know
what
you.
you're saying.
You don't know them.
But even though you have people that you choose not to be with that close, you still, when you do interact with them, you can
Respect
you
them.
can respect them and
Absolutely.
look for their good, but not for what for me.
Well, that's all he's
And,
asking.
That's right.
You know,
for the good.
Respect.
Can I also say to Anne, if I ran the world, if I could have every child born into a home where they were unconditionally loved, I think we wouldn't have dysfunctional families.
63% of American children grow up without both biological parents.
Well, yeah, that's
The lowest figure in the West. The lowest figure in the Western world. The lowest.
Yeah.
The lowest in the developed
What is
world,
the percent?
63%.
And what is it in the Orthodox?
Orthodox? What does that even mean?
What do you mean?
Well, you're
Grow up
talking
with
about
what?
63% of
I'm saying in America. I'm talking about America.
In America.
Right.
Greater society.
there's
In Jewish
statistics.
families, it's much better for sure.
Well, wait a minute.
Jews have always put a premium on family and
And family.
family and
You know, and we
Can
love our
I take 2
children.
minutes
sure.
of our time? I just was in a place I fell, injured myself, and it was a rehab place. And I saw for the very first time in my life, I saw life that I didn't know that exists. I could see this in the movies. I could see this, read about it, but to see people, what the rabbi just said, it's just unbelievable. I couldn't sleep at night. A young woman of 26 years old. She has 6 children, and each one with another father. And no
Deadbeat
child
dads.
know the father. You know, I'm not a naive person. You know, I know that something like that, but to see, to meet them, and talk to those people, it was such a terrible cultural shock for me that I wanted to get out from that as soon as I could.
Disaster.
You know?
It's a disaster.
It's unbelievable.
So,
Baby mama.
Yeah.
thinking about that story and getting back to Lily, as well as one of the traits you talk about as far as love, which you talk about vesting or investing in a person. If you feel a toxicity, why am I going to even spend my perception, or maybe Lily's also? If you don't have a relationship or a requirement, why am I going to invest to look at the goodness in that person, to say, hey, I'm going to give you my neighborly love, my, fellowly love.
Sorry, I can't love this.
Yeah, I think we don't have to focus on those people. We have to focus on the majority of people that you know are good people or wholesome people that might have some irritating qualities. Still find a way to love them. You don't think hang out with them.
Yeah,
But
we
it
live
is
in
a-
a world where we have our communities, our society.
We live in a bubble.
I didn't even know that something like that exists in such a big numbers.
Yeah.
But, let's go back to something you said, Barbara, about dysfunction and whatever. 2 classes ago, Susan, we all looked around to see whose parents didn't
Yeah.
have dysfunction, and almost everyone's did, except for yours and his.
Oh, really?
So
Mine?
I'm telling you, all come from dysfunction. We don't have to behave in a way that, we're mashuggy all the time. We treat people with respect. We avoid people that show this type of toxicity. We treat them with respect, too. It's not like we don't treat them with respect. But what you're talking about is really deeper. It is really deeper. And
It's
And it's-
almost like
it's-
utopia.
yeah, well,
And this
again,
is the sad
That's what we're
story.
aiming for.
This is the very sad side of the whole story.
love
That
love is
to me, it sounds like utopia. I think it's tragic. Since I started the classes, I'm in 2 different worlds. I'm coming here, I hear things that I would love to change in my life, and I can't because the rest is not letting me.
All you can do is your little part.
Yeah.
That's what
All
I do.
you can do.
You can change other people, and you alone are responsible for your.
And you can make it. I once had a rabbi tell me, we don't even try it if we just acted like we're all, once the world all acted like we've been told to in the Torah, we would have the Messianic era.
Well, that's my bit. So I didn't dig into any acronyms.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just take a time to look at what the Torah says about love. Love is a very much a misunderstood terminology. We know there's infatuation, there's lust, those things are not with love. We did find instances the Torah says about love a convert, empathize with them, right? Love your fellow, right? Notice the good in them, And these themes, I think, should accompany us in the continuing discussion that we have about love and relationships. We should know the Torah gives us these commandments, and they're commandments because, yes, there is a process that goes about creating love, but also that process all you need to do to maintain that love is to follow that same process. And therefore the Torah can indeed demand of us to love because the Torah is telling us to do the process.
What about with
And it's repeatable process.
the love of Hashem, which we didn't talk
Oh,
about?
love of Hashem.
What's the third thing?
How do you love of Hashem? Also, thank you for bringing us back to that, and that is the Sifri, which is Sifri is think of a Mishnaic era Jewish sources. It says, how do you love God? It says the way to love God is study Torah and to study the wisdom of God. And you study the wisdom of God, you see how awesome it is and how amazing it is. You'll love God, which I want to say kind of mirrors the way you love other people. How do you love? How do you get to love other people? You notice how good they are. How do you love God? You notice how good He is. Hey, look how good He is to me as an individual. Forget about the Torah. What does God do for me on a daily basis? Well, I breathe about 19,000 times a day. I don't like do it consciously. It's just the Almighty making me breathe because it just makes it like that. He loves me. How my liver works and my heart beats 108,000 times a day. You know, it's all a gift from God because He loves me, right? And He does this for me because He's good. If I think about that, I love Him. Similarly, if I think about what God does good for me, I'll love Him. I'll think about what a person does good, their qualities, what's good about them, and I love them as well. So we have a little bit of a process, a little bit of an idea. And I want to thank you all for coming. I love you guys.
Thank you.
And let's do this again sometime. Let's make a petition. Yes.
You know how you said right at the beginning how all religions have stolen from us.
Yes. Well, not all religions, primarily Christians.
But what I was going to say is, does the Quran have anything of a similar nature?
Well, the Quran steals other stuff.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering because they just want to go out and kill you.
No, I think
If you're
that
not them, you're nothing.
that's true.
So that's why I'm just wondering if they have anything.
I'm sure they do. I know they have some like social welfare, like mitzvahs, quote unquote. They have some stuff. It's not quite like what we have, of course. Nothing like what we have. All knockoffs. You know, you get the knockoff Gucci's. It might look really nice, but it's not the same thing. Yeah, so they have some mitzvahs and some commandments which they stole from us, modified a little bit. You know, like we say, I have to give 10% of your money to charity. They say 2.5 is enough.
No, but this one about loving your fellow man.
I don't know. I don't. Not that I know. I'm not an expert in Quran.
Because I would think not.
Yes. Well, I don't know.